This is the next instalment in our series about COVID and associations. And today we're joined by Susan Caldis from the Geography Teachers Association. And she's going to talk to us about how COVID has impacted her and her association. So I'll start off with that, Susan. How's that been for you? How has COVID impacted your association?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak about this. I guess it's really heightened our sense of responsibility as a council and an association about, how important our leadership and our example and our ability to show the way in difficult times are. So I think that that's been one impact, actually, that we've had this really sudden and very noticeable tap on the shoulder that, we are leading geography education in New South Wales, and we are providing an example. And in, these uncertain and challenging times, it's our responsibility to sort of really step up and really show how it's done in schools, within our association, in community. As a council, obviously, we've really missed our face-to-face events. All teachers do. I mean, we've all struggled with that, and I'm sure that's not unusual. And the transition between all our events and our meetings having to, go online in some form. As a council, we've really missed that. But I think the biggest impact has been this sort of realisation of what responsibility and privilege we have being in the association and being in a position of leadership and being able to make a difference that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of associations have actually had to dig deep and look at the resources they currently have and redeploy or reinvent. So I guess so over the past 6 months, as GTA has looked at this, what sort of things have the council, what sort of conversations and what sort of processes did the council start to look at to be able to support membership?
Yeah, we started, I guess, having a look internally about what our own capacities were and what our strengths were. And we looked at the program that we'd already got set in place for 2020. And we had a serious look at what was not going to be possible at all. And of course, that was the study tour, unfortunately, to China. We could not replace or redo that in any form. So that was one thing that had to be removed from our program. But what we did realise was that, there's so many ways to adapt and reimagine what we currently do. And it actually forced us to be more creative and a bit more inventive and to just sort of test the waters with various things that we do. So something that remained the same, obviously, was our webinar program. I mean, that's been well established now for a few years. And, we have great reach into the rest of the state through that, and it's affordable and it's accredited. And, that sort of stayed the same. But the annual conference, for example, and the HSC lecture series, we really had a critical look at how we could best use technology and gain from within the community of geography educators to get an online fully resourced package that we could make available throughout the year, in bursts, so to speak. So even though the annual conference typically would have occurred sort of April, May, now at the end of the year, when schools are really sort of looking towards possibilities for next year, now we can sort of release keynote sessions, workshops that would have happened at the conference that faculties can do as part of their own professional learning day. They can work through the guided workshop themselves, things like that. And something else that we thought about that we hadn't done before and was really successful were the cafe conversations. And this started, I guess, in the height of lockdown, particularly that sort of April, May time. And it was really a drop-in centre. So it was separate to our webinar program. We still had a theme for discussion. It wasn't accredited. It wasn't paid. You didn't have to pay. But it was just, everyone knew that, from 4:30 to 5:30, most of council would be online. This was the overarching frame for discussion. Come join us and let's talk about it, and we had 3 of them in fairly quick succession. and they were attended by pre-service teachers, early career teachers, very experienced teachers, some in very isolated and remote settings around New South Wales, some, you know, right here from the middle of Sydney. And it was really just a chance to, you know, share our experience about how difficult this was, and, you know, the transition to online learning and what we're going to do about fieldwork and all those sorts of things. So the Cafe Conversations was a really nice sort of caring and reassuring initiative that I think was really appreciated. I've got some other things I can mention if there's time.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah? Okay. So I think with the bulletin as well, I mean, Lorraine always does an amazing job with the geography bulletin, and this year it just went up another level. So this time Lorraine envisaged it in these sort of COVID-related times as being not just sort of articles of professional reading or from the classroom for your interest. It was from the classroom for your use in the classroom, you know, so not quite Blackline Masters, but of that ilk, you know, so that teachers who were finding it very difficult to move existing units of work into an online delivery, or teachers who were new to teaching geography, and this was just, you know, the pandemic was just one more, you know, step too far. Yeah, there was a whole sort of resource bank that literally they could, you know, put online in some form or deliver with their class, whether that be blended or fully online delivery. And then another issue was dedicated really to our membership and friends and associations contributing an article, and this bumper issue came out that was, you know, full of contributors that would usually not write an article for the bulletin, but it also gave them a bit of a, you know, a sense of, I guess, achievement, you know, a sense of belonging to the association. And we've been able to organise for them to be, you know, compensated in the form of classroom resources that we've created as a thank you for contributing the article. And I think really we've also realised that our website is a really important tool in these online times, you know, and to make sure that we keep that fresh and updated and, you know, appealing. And also that, I guess as a council, part of that realisation of responsibility was our realisation about caring, and caring for each other on council, and caring for those in our schools and communities and those who are part of our membership. And increased flexibility, I think, has been required in the way that we operate. And, you know, we've had to really embrace some email meetings and a plethora of emails that happen between our face-to-face meetings. So it's been a big adjustment of change, but I'm quite proud to say that as a council, there was only one thing that dropped off our original program, and that was the study tour. We've got plans for that coming back next year that I'll talk about later. But that we were able to rework our existing program to still be useful, relevant to members, and we've seen our membership increase throughout the year, which has been terrific.
That's great. Well done.
So what does 2021 look like for you? What are you going to implement around COVID? What's your strategy?
Yeah, so I think we are now getting more used as a council to having blended form. So we're going to trial our planning day as a combination of face-to-face and Zoom, you know, so we'll be in sort of a small socially distanced groups, and also have those who are unable to come to Sydney for a variety of reasons sort of attend remotely, and look at what we can do in that capacity, perhaps for our annual conference, a blended form conference or particular designated activities within the conference will be online form, so that people can, you know, perhaps register for online only if they're not able to or not comfortable, or none of us are able to be there face to face. With our study tours, we're looking at joining with the Geographical Society of New South Wales.
Oh, good.
So in the strategic plan for the future of the discipline of geography, one of the recommendations there is about more authentic collaboration with the academic geographers. And you know, the Geographical Society of New South Wales, they're interested in the work of geography teachers. You know, we're interested in the research and the work that they do. And so we're looking at a range of one-day virtual study tours happening with an academic from a particular area of geography and doing sort of a virtual field trip with them. So we'd sort of take care of the accreditation for teachers, and they'd take care of the academic rigour, so to speak. And together we'd sort of look at some of those options with a view to perhaps later next year being able to come together face to face for that and do a physical study tour, you know, somewhere in New South Wales or around Australia. And I think the cafe conversations, we've realised really the importance of connection and belonging and caring, and just to have that, probably not 3 in a 6-week period, do you know what I mean? But, you know, spread out throughout the year as a complement to our webinar program, which is quite tightly structured. And again, we've realised the HSC lectures, that fully resourced and online package that we did was very well received, and that could be something that could very easily be a blended format that we'd like to experiment with. Webinars remain the same. The bulletin, we've seen that membership really embraced the opportunity to contribute. So I think Lorraine's going to move forward with a few more of those ideas as well. And I think for us as a council, it's just really looking at particularly the digital online learning courses. Like, that's been something that we've been really able to support teachers with as part of their own professional development. And Paul and Katarina, who lead that from council, have done a terrific job in catering for, I guess, the basics of geography, if you like, just really support teachers who are new to the profession or new to teaching geography, and just give them an overview about what this thing called geography is all about. Yeah, and then they're looking in response to feedback actually from our membership about sort of almost like extension work for the more experienced teachers and geography specialists who'd like to go deeper into particular units of the syllabus. And then of course there'll be the syllabus aligned units as well. So that's all in place, ready to go for us and to sort of be finalised at our planning day at the end of the year. But that's what 2021 we hope will look like. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it sounds really exciting. I think it's fantastic. I guess the final thing we would like to just have a comment on, and you've mentioned it many times along each of the sessions, is the value of membership, but also the value of an association to members. And I just wondered if you had a comment of whether that's changed or what shifted particularly over this year.
Yeah. I guess membership is always important to us, but what this year has really taught us is that we are really important to our members, you know, and that they're looking to us for some guidance, advice, reassurance, you know, examples, leadership. And I guess when I saw the question about membership, I sort of say it's not what they can do for us, but what we can do for them. And I think that through things like the online learning platform, the way that the bulletin got opened out to membership to contribute, the response to the cafe conversations, those sorts of things showed the membership that we're leading in a slightly new way, and that we're there for them, and really we're there to support and assist, even if that's just listening to the troubles of putting a very practical course online. And I'd say that that's been reflected not only in the membership numbers, but also the sort of the frequency of contact and the questions that come through our social media channels. Yeah, I think membership has appreciated a slight change and pivot in this realisation that council has had as well, that, you know, It's a privilege and a responsibility, and we've all stepped up. And we're fortunate to have a council that's spread across New South Wales, you know, from Broken Hill to Wagga up to the Hunter. You know, we've got good reach, and obviously all around Sydney as well. And membership's really important, but I think, you know, membership only grows in its number and also in its spirit when they can see that there's real value for money and getting something in return. So I guess I came at it from the other way around, that, you know, people pay money to join us, and we really need to be able to respond to that in times that no one expected or anticipated, you know.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that sort of process that you've gone through as a council, and also the I guess you've kept membership as a central theme right through everything you've spoken about. And I think also it's been very isolating this whole time. So to be a member of an association is probably the most important thing at the moment. To feel as though you're part of a collective, even though you may be the only geography teacher or one or two geography teachers in regional remote locations. It's important to feel as though you're supported and wanted by
that's right,
by a profession.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Also, recently, some of the academic geography associations have reached out to us as well.
Oh, great.
Which is really nice, yeah. And we've been able to sort of recommend geography teachers for their academic panels when they want a teacher voice. And it hasn't come only, you know, from council representatives. You know, it's not the typical names that you might see on those sorts of things. And I think that's been really nice for other, you know, geography teachers as well, who are members of our association, connected to us, are not always intrinsically involved in what we're doing, but in response to, you know, new groups that we haven't engaged with so much before, we're able to sort of say, oh, you know, how about you contact, you know, this school in central western New South Wales and see what comes out. And then, you know, teachers appear on the academic panels, and, you know, really gives new life and meaning to being part of a community and a collective. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. That's amazing. So much great information there for other associations to take on board. You've been very thorough, and it's really wonderful that you could join us today and give us an insight into how you've been dealing with COVID. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. All the very best for GTA.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.